Welcome back to Philosophy of the Barber. Today's episode, we will be discussing expectations. Both barbers' expectations of customers, clients, as well as clients' expectations when they're walking into a barbershop. So why don't we first start off with the rule of threes, which are the three expectations that customers typically have of anything. Not just barbers. They want it cheap.
Yep.
They want it fast.
Yep.
They want it quality.
Yep.
And the rule is, you can only ever give them two of the three.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I don't blame them for that expectation, because I have that same expectation when I'm on the customer end of things. But, let's face it, if you're going to be fast, and you're going to be quality, you ain't going to be cheap.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to be fast, but you're going to be cheap and quality, well, you ain't going to be fast.
Yeah.
And then, if you're going to be cheap and fast, sure as heck ain't going to be quality.
That's actually the first time I've ever heard that
What?
3-point rule.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do they teach you in Empire?
Not the 3-point rule, apparently. At least not that I remember. That's interesting.
Very wise, though.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
And you gotta pick your two. Like, what two have you decided you picked?
Ooh, definitely. I guess I wouldn't say cheap, but I try not to be too expensive.
Well, you're like going rate.
Yeah, like it's average rate, but I definitely quality. Quality is a given. And I don't, fast is subjective for me in the sense of like
you're not giving hour haircuts.
Yeah.
So like you're being efficient.
Yes.
You're being mindful of other people's time and the value of that.
Yes.
So like you're not,
Yeah, so I guess we'll go quality fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Which is why we're not cheap. And I mean, just this week we had the example of someone who prioritizes the cost of haircut
Yes.
over the other two.
Yep, I had a gentleman walk in this week. I had availability to give him a haircut, beard groom that he was looking for. He asked me for my price before he sat down. I told him my going rate, and it was outside of his budget. So we were just not the fit for each other, and I wished him a good day, and it was easy as that.
Yep.
No hard feelings. I don't expect anybody to jump out of pocket for a service by any means if they can't.
Yeah. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Like, no harm, no foul.
And it's in those moments, though, that I almost, being so new and being a new business owner, I almost for a second want to price cut myself. I almost for a quick second question, like, am I charging too much? But then I remember it's just the going rate around here, realistically. If you want to go to a barber shop and get a barbershop service where you're actually getting the hot towel, all that, then you're going to be paying the same rate everywhere in town.
Right. And that is kind of what we said after he left, was like, unfortunately, he's going to be disappointed in every barbershop that is downtown, because we all charge about the same.
Yeah. Which I think is nice that that's just what the rate's at here. Kind of for everybody, unspoken across the board. And no one's jumping to try to outlandishly compete with that, or
Nobody's trying to, like, undercut significantly.
Yeah, it's just everybody's kind of playing the same fair game here.
Though there is also the point of how to measure your value. Because, I mean, when I first opened my first location, the going rate for a haircut was legit
significantly
half of what it is now. Only 12 years ago, the going rate was half. However, it had been flatline stagnant in New Hampshire at that price for a very, very long time.
Really?
Yes. It was only in the last decade or so that prices actually started going up. Which, we're long overdue for that anyway, so, like, we're still cheaper than a lot of places around the country. Despite our cost of living being significantly higher than, I'd say, anywhere in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
So, given that is the case, we're only now catching up to what haircut costs should have been at a steady rate of increase over time.
Yeah.
Because, like, the salon end of the house certainly kept up with going rates as far as the cost of products and services. Mm. Whereas barbershops, because they were trying to survive, and especially here in New Hampshire, like, you couldn't find a barbershop with a proprietor younger than 50 for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Like, my barber instructor, when he was 35, he was the youngest barber in the state for several years.
Oh my gosh. It's wild to think about.
Yeah, so that tells you the state of barbering in this state and area for a while. So, that being said, like...
It's interesting to think about how much it's changed in really just a short amount of time.
Just in my career,
yeah,
it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Like, seeing the entire industry really jump on the social media ride of, like, the Instagram and,
yes,
like, visual art and everything, like, displaying your work, your digital portfolio, and seeing the birth of that and, like, having it take off, and all of these barber conventions, like, all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy. Like... I went to one of the first Connecticut Barber Expos. I even competed in two of their...
Did you?
Yeah, competitions. That was back when, like, they weren't at Mohegan Sun. Like, they were at a much smaller convention center.
Yeah. Much smaller then at that point.
But yeah, so... Anyway, back to our subject of expectations.
Yes.
So, like, it's fair for that gentleman to have his expectations of what he needs for a barbershop. Mm-hmm. It's a lot harder to find.
Yeah.
But, like, I think there might be one barbershop downtown that would suit his needs. Because, I mean, the number of barbershops around here over the years has gone up significantly.
Yeah.
So that means there's more variety. There's more ability to find what you're looking for, which is great. Because not everybody can be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And nor should you hold yourself to that standard. That's a terrible expectation to have.
Yeah.
But it also is like, what expectations are you holding yourself to? Mm-hmm. And, you know, what do you want from a customer? Like, what are your base level expectations for behavior, demeanor, whatever, when a customer comes in?
I feel like my expectations vary client to client. Newer client, I expect... Honestly, I kind of expect almost a little confusion or a little, like...
Skepticism?
Yeah, because usually when you wind up in my chair for the first time, especially since I'm a new barbershop, it's either because you're, like, unhappy with your current haircut or your current barber situation, or you're in just, like, a constant, limbo between barbers and just don't know or are seeking new advice on their hair because they want to hear something different. And so there's always a lot of, like, will you be the one that I can trust with my hair and to, like, actually give me something that I'm going to want and feel good with and
understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and listen to what I'm trying to say, because unfortunately too many times do I hear them saying that they specifically said they didn't want something, and then that's exactly what the barber did. Mm-hmm. And my biggest thing, because so many men starting out don't know what they want to do with their hair. They're kind of just like short on the sides, not too long on the top. And they really don't know what they want to do. But one of the things that I try to focus on are, like, what are things you do not like? Mm-hmm. What are things you can't stand? Can you not stand when your hair's touching your ears, or when you can feel it touch the nape of your neck, or when your cowlick pokes up in the back? Would you rather that be trimmed really short so you just don't even have to deal with it?
Important consultation questions.
Yeah, and I focus honestly more on what they don't like, and just really build my haircut off of that platform, because then I'm at least getting rid of all of their nitpicky parts of them that they don't like. And then we can work towards, if it's not the perfect ideal haircut at the end of it, then we can work towards something. But then he's not leaving there like, oh, she asked me about this cowlick, and here it is, you're having to fix it same day. Or,
well, and it's making sure that the things that they measure
excuse me,
needing a haircut by,
yes,
we're going to take care of those, make sure they stay away as long as possible. Mm-hmm. And so that's putting their priorities first.
Yes.
It's the, we're not trying to achieve a magazine style or a platform style or anything like in like that realm of like artistic expression. This is practical everyday haircuts. And that's what matters to them. Because, I mean, this area is very salt of the earth, like no nonsense. Like they're regular on like keeping themselves, you know, maintained, but it's, most people aren't coming in for a high maintenance haircut that they have to style on a daily basis to make it look good.
Yeah. They really want low level, whatever they can just, what makes it easy for them to deal with.
Yeah. Well, and makes their spouse happy too.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. Absolutely.
I like that that's like their expectations for that are very, like their priorities are in order. Like this is somebody's life. You understand the basic priorities of life. Happy wife, happy life. Boom.
Yeah.
All right. Like I gotta look at me and deal with this. Worst case, I'll throw in a hat.
Yeah.
But she's gotta look at me, and if I gotta hear her complain about how I look,
I appreciate when I get requests from headquarters, so to speak.
yes.
It's funny when some of the gentlemen come in and specifically note what the wife has said to say and not care. And when I ask more questions, them just repeat back verbatim what was said by the wife. So that way that's just all they know. They're like, this.
I don't know what she meant by that. I'm only telling you what she told me.
Yep, that's it. That's all the information I have for you. Outside of that, I'd figure it out. Use your best judgment, Barber. Perfect, thanks.
Well, and I even have some clients who have significant others that will always say something about the hair, no matter what.
No matter what.
No matter
There's
what.
Some kind of tweak. There's one little small tweak.
Little tweak. But it goes, it's like a tennis match of what the tweak is.
My favorite, though, is when the tweak brings you back to the haircut before.
Yes.
The initial tweak.
Yes.
And it really is just a back and forth of a little longer, a little bit shorter.
Yep. I feel like it's more of a time issue, not a production issue.
Yep. But I feel like with my expectation of some of my more regular clients, honestly, some of them I don't expect much from. Showing up on time. Some of them I expect to show up late. Some of them
we've learned.
Yeah, you learn the curve of people. Some of them I expect it to be a quiet haircut because I know that they aren't the chattiest of person. I wait for them they drive the car when it comes to the conversation.
Generally speaking, I have pretty even expectations for customers, but they're basic, bare bones. Like, have courtesy and like respect for other human beings.
I was gonna say I've never really stumbled across someone just coming in a bad mood. So like it's usually generally pretty pleasant. Like you're courteous. You come in.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I had one particular instance when somebody came in that apparently they had gotten off a phone call or something that had them livid. It wasn't at me. Like, I don't hold any ill feelings. Like, I know, like, I can see your anger, but I know it's not directed at me, so I don't feel unsafe.
Yeah.
But even in that state, he has enough courtesy to convey to me, hey, can we have a quiet haircut because I need to decompress this.
Yeah.
And of course, absolutely. I'm not going to say a peep to you. And that worked out just fine. And by the end of the haircut, he was calm, which is probably best for his blood pressure. So the fact that, I can be a place where somebody can calm down.
Yes.
Is great.
Yes.
I'd say the longer somebody is my customer, the more expectations I tend to have of them. But I feel like that goes both ways.
Yes.
Because the longer you're a customer of mine, the more you get from me.
Yes.
The more dedication. Like, I have a baseline of, like, on my worst day, I don't know you from Adam, like, people will always get a certain level of basic human decency, respect. Now, obviously, I'm not perfect. Some people have met me on a bad day. And their opinion of me is fair, based on their experience. Don't hold that against anybody. But especially in this new situation where I can be a lot less stressed.
Yeah.
I'm much more pleasant on a regular basis than I ever was before. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yes. Yes. I feel like the most common thing I heard was the intimidation factor. I feel like there's a lot less of that.
Really?
In this space, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I will never understand what other people think of me.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that.
But along that goes with my expectations of regulars are definitely hey, if you have acquired my phone number, there is officially no excuse for you to no-call, no-show me.
Yes.
Therefore, I will go from a super pleasant person to a very irritated person if you disrespect me in that way.
Yes.
Without good reason. Like, I always have room for life happening. I will have compassion for that. But if you don't have a reason, or at least a good one, we are going to have issues real quick. Especially if you've made an appointment in a way that doesn't have no-show protection for me. Then we're going to have a difficult conversation. And it's their actions that are causing me to have that awkward conversation.
Yeah.
Like, why are you making me have to talk to you? You know by now what you should have done.
Yeah.
What you need to do with this.
Because at this point, our only hope is just a hint of communication. That's it.
Just courtesy.
Acknowledgement that you know that you had an appointment set with me today.
Yep.
And that's it.
None of this ghosting.
You could reach out 15 minutes before your appointment.
You could reach out like the time of your appointment.
Yes. And just acknowledge that, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. I don't even need to know why. I don't care. The why is sometimes irrelevant.
Yeah.
Once it's a no-call, no-show behavior, then it's just like, come on. Like, why? It's just a matter of common courtesy, human decency, and just respect for each other's time.
Yes. And so that's the expectations that I lay for people.
Only because, look at the reverse. Customers would be livid if barbers just started reaching out 5 minutes before the appointment. But we still take that with stride. Like, we just want the acknowledgement.
Well, and when it comes to our end of things, like if a family emergency happens, like something like our house is on fire and we have to do that, we always make sure to communicate as soon as we know something.
Yeah.
We are reaching out going, hey, like we have a snowstorm coming up. And though I'm totally going to be here during the snowstorm because we're that close.
Yeah, might as well.
And we know our customers, they're still going to show up. Like knowing that some of them have different, jobs that are affected by that. I reached out for somebody and went, hey, do you want to move it to the afternoon? Because I know there's going to be a lot of snow shoveling happening. He's like, actually, you got something today? Yes, sir, I do. I can fit you in anywhere. And so that worked out. But that doesn't work without communication.
Yeah.
And even more so, like, the system that we happen to use gives them, and we can adjust that, the ability to reschedule on their own within so many hours. It's like, use that opportunity. It even has like an automated computer you can talk to do that via text message.
Yes. And not just that, the automated line that confirms the appointments, they can just freely respond to that whenever they can message that and ask it whatever the heck they want.
Yep.
And we see everything.
Well, unless it's like an automated prompt, then we don't see it.
Oh yeah, until it needs our help.
Right.
Until it needs us to jump in because it can't figure out what to do.
Yeah. It's not AI.
No,
we're not there yet.
Not yet.
But I do feel like that it's important to really lay out, all right, what are my expectations of people? Because if you don't realize that consciously that you have an expectation of somebody and you don't communicate that expectation to them, you have no leg to stand on to be upset when they don't measure up to that expectation because they never even knew it was there.
Yeah.
And that's in any relationship, whether it's a friendship, a significant other, whatever. If you have an expectation, you have a responsibility to communicate that expectation. Otherwise, if you're mad at them, they have no idea why.
Yep.
And that's a terrible place to be in.
It really is. I feel like with clients, it's honestly baseline, like across the board baseline. My only expectations is you show up to the best of your ability and you pay me for my time. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. How you come in, whatever mood you come in with or behavior for that day is almost irrelevant as far as expectation goes, because I don't expect you to show up the same every time.
Right.
Because I can't show up the same every time. We're human. It's different. Just like I'm sure the expectation is that they come in and you have a happy-go-lucky service and it's like that every time, but people have bad days. There have been days where I've had some stuff going on in my personal life and I've not been able to keep myself completely composed at work. But that's human. We're natural, and like I can't blame someone for having an off day. So whatever personality mood you want to come in with is, I don't really expect them to behave any kind of way. You know what I mean? It's really just
the baseline human decency.
Yeah, really just show up and don't treat me like crap, and everything's fine.
Well, and I think, like, unfortunately, part of the things that like spark this conversation is the fact that some people can't seem to measure up to that baseline. Mm-hmm. And those people do exist. Mm-hmm. And it's okay for them to exist.
Yes.
But that behavior is not okay in my space. Not okay in your space. Mm-hmm. Like, those are like lessons that should be learned.
Yes.
At the same time, though, there's still wiggle room for individuals in varying circumstances.
Yes.
Like, you don't have the same expectation of, a regular Joe as you do from some of your sensory sensitive kids.
Yeah.
We adjust with age, with life situation, like when it comes to behavior. I don't have any expectation of like the mental state that anybody should come in with outside of you should not be disrespectful or angry or like upset towards me. I was gonna say,
just don't direct any of the emotion and energy my direction, and we're fine.
Yes, that's the like we'll meet you where you are, because that's our job.
Yes, exactly. And like I feel like we, in times of potential turmoil for clients, whether mentally, emotionally, whatever, that's kind of not necessarily when I want to be there most, but like I feel almost honored when they allow me to be a part of that vulnerable space. Because like if they're having a bad day or stuff's rough at home, like they could have moved their haircut, they could have canceled, they could have not dealt with me, but they felt comfortable enough to potentially be vulnerable and open up about something in my space and to me. And so if that's the case, then it's just I want that. I want them to feel comfortable enough to be able to have that. So whatever.
I agree, but I also think that's indicative of the unique space that we've created.
Yes.
Because we're very private space, one-on-one. I don't think that everybody is afforded that opportunity when you're going into a large shop environment where there's more an expectation to put on a face, especially if you're going through something difficult.
Yeah.
It's it'll be super awkward in this room full of people if I'm looking really depressed, and he picks up on that. Whether or not they will or point it out is a different question. That is Barber dependent. But, people have those thoughts of like, I don't want anybody to like ask me in that environment what's wrong. And so they'll just have to like brush it off or lie for the sake of their own like fragility.
Yeah.
And that's fair. Like, not everybody wants that sort of a situation. But the private situation that we have created for our customers allows for that vulnerability, that humanity, that compassion to be extended in both directions.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I remember the first time I ever dealt with puffy eyes was like when my first dog passed away.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of going to work the next day.
Yeah.
It was a terrible idea. In fact, like the 2-year anniversary is tomorrow.
Oh.
That was a terrible decision on my part,
yeah.
because I do recall as soon as somebody asked like where Chloe was very like, she's dead. Meh.
Yep.
And I don't like to cry in front of anybody, let alone how awkward do you think other people feel when they see me cry? How awkward do you feel when you see me cry? Not as much now.
Yeah.
We've had more shared time.
I was going to say, when you cry, I cry. Usually.
We do it together sometimes, like, but like at the old place. At the old place when it was like the first year.
Yeah.
That's a very different situation. Off-putting. Hide in the back.
I feel like that's how it is. Most people cry. You're just like, oh, okay. I don't know what to do here. Tread these waters.
I feel like heavily depends on whether or not you know the reason for them crying.
Correct.
Like, if you know why somebody's crying, it's like, oh, my heart goes out to you. Like, let me get you a tissue. Like,
yes.
I kind of want to hug you. It depends on the person. We both know I'm not naturally a hugger.
No.
But it happens.
It happens to me sometimes. People hug at me.
How do you get hugged at?
Where they just come at you with their arms open.
I feel like being hugged at, it means that you have not participated in the hug.
I don't think you like want to sometimes.
It's not a matter of wanting. I still participate whether I want to or not. Like, I've never just, like, stood there with my arms down and let somebody hug me. That's awkward.
Just imagine. You just lift your hands, just your wrist up, just bend
Tap,
your hips
tap.
and tap the arms. Thanks.
What are your minimal expectations for yourself on a daily basis? Like, what standards are you, on your worst day, still holding yourself to?
Show up before my client does at the beginning of the day. And don't leave my towel warmer on at the end of the day.
It's a fair expectation.
That's baseline, bare minimum. Because again, I don't hold expectations on myself about how I'm going to feel during the day. I don't put too much expectation on myself on how I'm going to show up mentally and emotionally. Like, of course, yes, I want to put my best foot forward, but I don't want to put on a face for anybody. And I don't want to set the expectation that I have to show up and be this chipper person every single day when it's just not that. It's that, and doing that can be exhausting. And so my bare minimum is just showing up and doing a good job, giving my clients the best quality haircut that I can every day.
Well, and I feel like that's the best way to support change and progress moving forward is like incremental improvements and making sure that you're holding yourself to a standard that is achievable on your worst day.
Yes, because I've made too many mistakes in my past when I was younger, putting all these expectations on myself and setting this bar so high and almost putting an undocumented time limit on these expectations. Like, I had to get them done. I had to check all these boxes and do all these things. And really, I just need to keep my expectations kind of low and leave myself adaptable and leave myself able to mold to each other, like everything that's going on, whether it's the client or with the business or with finances or whatever the case may be, because there's a lot of different variables going on in life right now. And if I have put a bunch of expectations on myself, there are so many things outside of my control that impact my life every single day. I can't put too much on myself on top of all that.
Yeah, I mean, that becomes an unproductive stress. Because I mean, stress can be good. Like, that's motivation and pushes you to improve, but
too much of it's overwhelming.
Just step back for a bit from perspective for a more broad application of this. Part of me feels like I should have like a counter for how many times we've set expectations so far during this episode, because it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
Yeah.
I need a thesaurus. We need a different word. But what I want to know what you have as a bar, so I don't say expectation again, for the industry, because I find that from a customer standpoint, most people have a low expectation for people in our industry because they've experienced such negative things. Like, their experiences in some places have been just like terrible. So I want to know, as somebody in this industry and has been for a few years, like, do you expect more from professionals than you see?
Yes. God, yes.
Expand upon that, please.
Some things I've seen directly through my experience in different shops and working with different barbers, and some more so word of mouth, what I've heard from client experiences. And I just feel like so often what I've heard from client experiences is, in a variety of different ways, boiled down to the barber didn't care, in layman's terms, didn't give a shit about the client or the haircut and cared about just getting the service done. And I feel like if the client can tell, if the client feels like you don't care in the short span that they're sitting in your chair, then you must have been doing a really bad job of trying to connect with them.
Well, that's one of the 3 C's. Consistency, care, and... crap, I just had it. Where'd it go?
Oh, no.
Quality, no, that's a Q.
Q?
That's a Q. There's a C. I can't think of it right now. There are 3 of them.
Anyways, the 3
There are
C's.
3.
Yep, there are 3 of them.
Maybe it's communication. It's probably not communication. That should be one of them.
Yep, should be.
But care. Yeah, care's one of them.
Yeah.
Things that you should be, like, that's a fair, reasonable expectation.
And like specifically, a client earlier today mentioned that this was the first time in a long time that they didn't feel rushed. And to feel rushed while you're sitting stationary, not doing anything in a chair, for you to feel rushed is just an uncomfortable feeling for a barber to give a client. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the things I've seen more directly is just lack of communication between barbers and their clients as far as scheduling and stuff goes. Just not keeping an early enough line of communication. Like if you do have to cancel, like as a barber, if something comes up, as soon as I know something's coming up and I'm not going to be able to partake in that service, my client knows as soon as I know. There's no linger time. There's no wait to figure it out. No, my client knows as soon as I know, so they can make arrangements and they know at the earliest convenience. Because if you're just pushing that off, that's not fair to them. It's inconsiderate. And so when you don't have that open line, I feel like it's just, again, coming back to caring, you're just not taking their feelings into consideration. Mm-hmm.
Or their life.
Yeah, and it's just really unfortunate because we have such a small amount of time in the day with this person to make potentially such a big impact. And whether it's in a negative way or a positive way, you can still make a big impact in their life. So, like, why not take the opportunity to, I don't know, care for 30 to 45 minutes about what the person in front of you is saying?
Yeah. My goal is always for somebody to leave my presence improved from when they first came into it. Mm-hmm. Like, if you come in at a B, I want to make you leave at an A.
Yeah.
If you come in at an F, anything above an F is better, as long as you leave improved. And that's not just from a visual perspective. Like, I want your state of being to be improved when you leave my presence. Like, I never want to make somebody feel less than when they came in. That's not my job.
Yeah.
My job is to elevate people.
I want to make people feel better, not worse.
Right. That's kind of the job.
Yeah, that's it.
But I'm curious from industry, think bigger industry. Like, I mean, I know we're in this little pocket of rural New England, but like we have the internet. We have this window into the worldwide beauty industry. Sorry, guys, you're still in the beauty industry. Joke's on you. Like, from a education standpoint, access to that, development of products, those types of things. Like, are you feeling as though the industry is growing and improving in those areas? Or is it like stumbling, flatlining, kind of becoming stagnant in some ways?
I feel like in some ways almost becoming stagnant because I feel like the beauty industry itself is not near as loud as, and I mean this in the nicest way, the amateur beauty industry of social media, as far as the the spin-off videos of how to dye hair and how to cut hair and how to do all these things. I feel like there's so many more do it at home hacks versus like
Redmondo.
yes, exactly. Versus like, and personally what I see a lot of, and I do follow hair pages and I've gone to a couple conventions. So like I'm actively in hair industry plugins, but still see very much a lot of the more, I feel like we could do better with like education and honestly trying to get more people in the industry instead of getting them to teach it at home.
Well, and I don't mind the Brad Mondos of the world, like helping people who especially are on a budget or have like a desire for the hobby, because I've been dyeing my own hair long before I ever entered the industry. So I appreciate the public being more educated on things because that makes our job easier because we're constantly on a daily basis educating people on the concept of conditioner.
Honestly. How beneficial it is to just moisturize your hair.
Let alone any other aspect. So like we're constantly teaching the public because we're working against generations of like just marketing tactics and lies being told to the public that nobody's gonna call out for whatever reason, money. I just be like, this is not the same. You just because it's a flake doesn't mean it's dandruff. Kind of thing. But you know, you just see head and shoulders. It must be dandruff, like sort of a thing. So those types of basic things, educating the public on, I'm very grateful for. That way, nobody hurts themselves. People have better skin and hair quality. I'm all cool with that. But I do find in the barbering industry, some barber-focused like companies, whether they're product lines or whatever, they make the mistake quite often of providing education that works around their products, but that education is still the basics of barbering. And barbers don't need that. Like at a certain point, barbers know that. They get taught that in school. They learn that in the barbershop. Like, they want what they're not being taught in the foundationals that they're given. And quite often, in order to achieve that, they need to go across the aisle into the cosmetology end of things to find that education. Number one, the availability of the education, because the salon side of the house has way more
education.
Yeah. But also, like, the techniques.
Yeah.
Like, your typical barber's not gonna be learning haircutting techniques that salons are using. Number one, the likelihood of them having as much long hair experience is lower.
Yeah.
Now, those of us who don't shy away from long hair, bring it on. But they have less opportunities to practice those things or have a need to know those things. But if you got people that are coming in with enough hair to do stuff, you should know how to do it.
Yeah.
So having to go searching for that, and unfortunately having to go searching in an area that is, let's say, very foreign to your typical barber, because statistically your typical barber is still a male. Now, 20-30% of females, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. But there's still a discomfort on the salon side of the house being far more catering to females. Just as much as a female going from cosmetology over to barbering would have a little bit of discomfort going, this is a much more masculine environment. So like asking a trucker to walk into a spa that's full of potpourri and lavender.
Yeah.
Like there's some awkwardness. It's just, it's not their natural environment.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but like making things more accessible within the comfort areas of the industry, like having education for hairstylists that want to learn more fade cuts. Like there's plenty of that available now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily go both ways. It's almost like you have to like let go of your barber card and cross over to cosmetology in order to be offered those opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Because, like, most of the people that I am aware of that have really pushed themselves to learn in those areas, they no longer really, like, have pride in being a barber, like, identifying themselves as a barber.
Yeah.
They're more the middle ground general hair cutter or hair artist. So that way they're not feeling as though they're choosing one world over another. So I wish that things were more accessible overall. And I think that's changing. Like, it's way different now than it was 12 years ago when I first entered the industry.
I was going to say, how do you feel like the industry sits to the bar that you have set for them in comparison to, like, getting to see the growth and different things that they've done that over the years?
Well, we both know that I'm a very critical person.
Yes.
So, I mean, any bar that I hold to myself to, especially an industry of professionals, it's like asking me my expectation of doctors.
Yeah.
You go, I have a higher expectation of doctors than apparently I should, given my experience. And so that's the case with any professional industry, is I have high expectations of people who consider themselves professionals. So it's very much on a case-by-case basis on whether or not I'm impressed or, like, just satisfied.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of times when I'm woefully disappointed. And more because my focus, and this is me, it's not my expectation of everybody else, but like, my focus has been more on the craft and the core purpose of the profession over the aesthetic, the lifestyle, the flex, the culture. I am not someone who participates in those parts of the industry.
Yeah.
So your typical barber expo is not going to be my place. Like, I've been to them. I've learned firsthand that this is not my jam. And that's okay. And plenty of people love those aspects of this profession.
I teeter the line. I very much love expos and, like, that aspect of it, but it's not a constant flex hype environment that I want to live in. I like little snippets.
It's like going to a theme park.
Yeah. Like, very much love the networking at the expo, love all the different booth setups, love my first one. I got a tattoo. Actually, every year that I've gone to an expo, I've been a model and done a demo cut for somebody. I've been on stage getting my hair cut in some way, shape, or form. And so I love getting those experiences, but that's definitely not the vibe that is in any of the shops that I've ever worked in. It's definitely not that honestly, more popular theme in the industry.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's a couple of different genres of barbering.
Yeah.
And I mean, and there's nothing against any of them.
No,
like, I love different genres of things.
I love that there is such a different, everyone has their niche little style.
But, like, to have an expectation, because a lot of it is geography. Because that's where your culture is. So, like, to have a more urban barbershop, like, in rural America is, like, I'm sure you'll find your demographic for, like, a single shop for that. But the ability to have multiple shops that cater to that, if, like, that's not the majority of your population, that's, I mean, around here, there's enough, like, you need 400 heads.
Yeah.
All right, if you're cutting 30-minute haircuts, 8-9 hours a day, 5 days a week, 400 heads a month.
Yeah.
That's all you need. That's not a lot of people. A single barber stays flat out busy all the time, 400 heads.
Yep.
Easy math. But that's, so one shop who's got, 4 or 5 chairs, if you're in, a town of a few thousand,
Yeah.
it's like, do they all want that?
Yeah.
Or, do they want something that's more akin to the culture there? Like, like your motif of, like, just rugged, as the name says, but it's rustic, it's like southern home hospitality, but it's relaxing. So that kind of fits with New Hampshire. This is a state of introverts.
It really is.
So anything having to do with mountains or wilderness or anything, that they're all about that.
Yep. Outside.
Yep. If you can, like, meet on that level, they're all about it. And or anything that's, like, historic, because obviously New England, really old.
Really old.
Not just from a demographic standpoint. But like there's a lot of old architecture. There's a lot of history here. People here love that history. They want to preserve that. So having things that are throwback, that are, old school, reminds them of their childhood or their grandparents. Like, they really connect with that. Mm-hmm. So my design choices of being more on the antique end of things works. I could not imagine being in this pocket where we are of one of those like really minimalist, like white, almost nothing, like really cool modern light fixtures.
Yeah.
Like I could not imagine one of those streamlined type of shops working here. They look great. They photograph really well. They're so satisfying to the eye. And Instagram is just full of them. But I could not imagine that working here. In a more urban place, totally. If that's more of the culture, I could totally imagine something like that in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Or in Boston, of course.
Yeah.
But not here. So, like, there's a place for everything.
Yes, exactly.
And so I think it's important to know that, all right, like, at an expo, there's going to be people who want the custom clipper that has a custom paint job. Mm-hmm. But then there's going to be the people who care more about, like, the quality of the tool.
Yeah.
Like, how long is this going to last? How good does it actually work, not how does it look? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care about the faceplate. I care about my ability to clean all the hair out of it.
Yeah.
And so it really does need to be balanced. Like, I loved going to the International Beauty Show in New York. That's where I found the hydropeptide products.
Ah.
Yeah, that was great. But they had a beauty show going on with the barber show. So, like, they had a barber component to the beauty show.
Yeah.
But they had a spa thing going on at the same time, and that's where I found that. So that one was really great because they had tons of workshops you could sign up for.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Connecticut Barber Expo has grown to that size of being able to offer lots of education.
Yep.
So I think those are great opportunities to find knowledge that you otherwise wouldn't have access to depending on where you are.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, I can't speak for a ton of the expos, but when I heard education, I automatically assumed haircutting educations. But that's not all of what it is.
Nope.
Like, it's business education. It's talking about LLC. It's talking about insurance. It's talking about marketing. It's talking about educations for such a variety of different things.
Well, and I even came across one recently on educating hair professionals on how to tactics on how to deal with people with sensory issues. Like, they actually do workshops for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good. They should. They should. Because it can be an art sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and learning how to best serve those people so that they can have the best experience as well. Like, this should not be traumatic.
No, not in any way, shape, or form.
And it's nice to be able to offer a quiet space.
Yes.
That's not a hustly bustly type of a shop. So that automatically, like, starts us off in a successful lane. But, like, learning, like, especially for the first time, like, bringing their favorite stuffed animal that they trust. And being able to, like, introduce them to us.
Yep.
And, having that kind of go-between. Be like, oh, can I try this on your buddy first? And then having a tool that's not a professional tool, but, like, a very quiet tool. That way, if they're really, really sensitive to that thing, it's like, not a problem. We have this thing. It cuts hair. That's all that matters.
It gets the job done.
Yeah, it cuts hair. That's what we're here for.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, a wall or an Andis clipper or any of that. If it cuts hair and it works well with them, then it's a tool worth having. Because it wasn't that long ago where, at least as far as my training was, electric foil, not considered a professional tool.
Yeah, no.
Now, can you find somebody who doesn't prefer to do that with a skin fade?
It's rare.
It's rare to find a person who will use, something that'll actually make a baby butt smooth outside of that. In conclusion, any other expectations, one last time, that we can think of? All right. With that said, we will see you all next week.
Have a good night.